everybody, welcome to this Eat, Drink, Fun Ski Somm webinar on the wines for the holidays. Specifically, we're looking at Thanksgiving this week. So a very tough choice if you're out there shopping for wine. It's a super complex meal, a million different flavors. What wines are you going to pick? So I hope that this short webinar helps you out with that. There are some resources that can help you with all of this. There's the blog article. So if we click on this, and we open right there, you get to the website, the Eat, Drink, Fun website, and there's a blog post. And if you scroll down, you have downloads for this full presentation and the cheat sheet. So hopefully that is help to you, and you can take that cheat sheet with you. It's one page. Take it to the grocery store, show it to someone if they have someone who knows about wine to help you find what you're looking for. This is our agenda today. Little brief welcome. We're going to talk about sparkling wine. We're going to talk about dry white wine, then off-dry white wine, which can be helpful for the meal, then the red wine, and dessert. So real simple, basic, straightforward. Here we go. This is the OPO. I like to begin every meeting. Why are you here? What are you going to get from this meeting? I have no idea. Well, here we're going to give you the sort of wave top view of 5 great wines that you can pair well, why they pair well, a little bit about where they're from and everything like that. Webinar is going to be 30 minutes, probably less, because we're just going to kind of go through it really quickly. I will address a few of your questions, and that's it. We'll go from there. The outcome is you're going to walk out of here a little bit smarter, a little bit more confident when you hit the grocery store and you start shopping for your Thanksgiving wines. So that's the deal. Let's get into it with sparkling wine first. And I prefer at Thanksgiving time a sparkling rosé. And why rosé? Well, because the rosé has a little bit of that red fruit character, which is so nice when you have a meal that has things like cranberries and sort of the tart flavors and the sweet flavors and all that. Not to mention that red note in the sparkling wine adds a little more depth and character. And this is a very sort of earthy and deep and complex meal. So for that reason, I think it works. Sparkling wine obviously works because sparkling wine works with everything. I mean, you can pair sparkling wine with fried chicken and French fries, salty things, sweet things. It's amazing. Sparkling wine is great. When in doubt, it's kind of like the sommelier's crutch. Just, pair it with sparkling wine and you're going to be safe. The sparkling wine in particular that I'm advocating for here is a Crémant de Bourgogne, or you could do a Crémant d'Alsace. What is that? Well, Crémant is basically any sparkling wine from France that is not from Champagne. So obviously, if you can do champagne, absolutely do champagne. It's lovely. And in Champagne, the wine laws, the rules, it has to be, all hand produced and hand riddled, and all of the fermentation is in the champenoise method. So it's double fermented in the bottle and all of that. You can get the same wine style and the same process that goes through the traditional method from other regions. And so some of these Crémants, that's exactly what they do. The picture there, don't forget, we've got sparkling wine from other areas. This is from Alto Adige, a Kettmeyer, Brut Rosé, beautiful rosé. They'll use Pinot Noir. They may use some other grapes. But also don't forget about Spain. You have Cava, really delicious, handmade, artisanal sparkling wine from Spain. But list here, I want to highlight some selections. I chose Northern Virginia as kind of a reference point. So people in the DC area, but look at Trader Joe's. It's national. You go anywhere. Trader Joe's has a great Crémant de Bourgogne rosé, Brut rosé for about $14, which is a great deal. Look at your own Trader Joe's. I've also got listings here from Total Wine. So these wines should be attainable for everyone in North America who's looking for this, or in the US at least. All right. So for the dry white wine, we are talking Chardonnay. And why Chardonnay? Chardonnay is kind of known as a chameleon grape. You can do all kinds of things with it. And yes, it matters what happens in the vineyard, but as the winemaker, you can do all kinds of things to Chardonnay. You can put oak on it. You can just do it lean style in steel tanks and maintain that minerality in the fruit and everything. So, the reason Chardonnay works so well at Thanksgiving is because it has a great backbone with the acidity, the structure of the wine, but also you can get these aromas these compounds, it's called diacetyl, it's butter. And the butteriness in the Chardonnay, when it's done subtly and nicely, is a really nice complement for things like your mashed potatoes, your gravies, your sort of, complex, heavier dishes. You still have the, your mouth being cleansed by the acidity, but then you have these sort of very interesting, sort of warm, buttery notes that are very complementary and very nice. The wines that I would recommend are more on the leaner side. So if you're looking at California Chardonnay, look for Carneros, the Carneros AVA. It's right above the bay, San Pablo Bay there. It's cool, has a lot of mist. And so these are leaner wines. These are cooler climate wines that have more on the acidity and the fresh fruit style. White Burgundy, it's always 100% Chardonnay in Burgundy when we're talking white wine. Really beautiful wines. If you can get these wines, a white Burgundy, just go for it. You're going to love it with your meal. If you go north of Burgundy a little bit, you're in Chablis. And in Chablis, they use a lot less oak. They only really use oak, and usually not even first use oak in their Premier Cru and Grand Cru. So you see in the picture there, that's the Chablis Grand Cru from Le Clos, probably the most famous Clos in all of Chablis. So if you can find this one from Villiam-Fèvre, it's a delicious wine. But even just the regular, ordinary Chablis is a beautiful wine. It's going to be very minerally, very lemony, delicious stuff. So if you have any questions on these wines in greater detail, please go ahead and ask. I'm just going through this, but Chardonnay is my dry white wine pick. Here is a Grand Reserve Chardonnay from Carneros. This is at Trader Joe's. It's $13, which is really a great value. Definitely look for this. Next, we have the off-dry Riesling. So, most Riesling, contrary to popular belief, is bone dry. But certain regions, especially those at the northern latitudes, they produce a sweeter style of Riesling where they arrest the fermentation early, maintain the acidity, but you have this balance between acid and sugar. It's very nice. So the region in mind is the Mosel in Germany, and we are talking, off-dry. The terms here I've listed at the bottom just for reference. Feinherb is a term. It's unofficial. It's not an official wine law term, but it indicates to the consumer locally in Germany, a feinherb is an off-dry wine. We're talking 10 to 30 grams per liter. But the official next level up is a cabinet. You can have dry cabinets, but you can also find slightly sweet cabinets. They traditionally are 25 to 30 grams per liter. And the spätlese, which is the later harvest. These are whole bunches picked at a later date, usually a week or two later. And then you start to get a little bit more of the sweetness and the funk in there. These are delicious wines, 60 to 90 grams per liter. But you see these are ranges, 60 to 90, 25 to 60. These are, you're going to have sweeter styles and non-sweeter styles. Definitely talk to somebody in the store if they've had it before, but these terms are going to be important on a German wine label, and they can be a little bit confusing to read if you're not familiar with German wines. Why off-dry wines? So at Thanksgiving, you have sweeter food. We have this, again, total mélange of different kinds of flavors. So with that ham or sweet potatoes, the spicy sausage, I love off-dry Riesling with spicy food. It's great with Asian fare. Whenever I have, spicy noodles or spicy rice or something like that, an off-dry Riesling is absolutely perfect. But then you have cranberry sauce and you have glazed carrots. Very complex, ranging from sweet to tart to bitter. An off-dry Riesling is like ideal. It just kind of linearly cuts through that. It's delicious. It refreshes your palate. And it's a nice complement when you have sweet things, which can be hard to pair sometimes when you have a really complex meal. So what to look for? Total Wine, they're offering a Dr. Losen Erdene Treppchen Riesling Spätlese mouthful for $33, which is really nice value still, actually. So here for €12, don't forget this one, the Dr. L Riesling, an off-dry Riesling. I've seen this also in Trader Joe's, but this is the Total Wine price for $12. Really pretty good. All right, now to this stuff, red wine. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going back to France. Why do we drink Pinot Noir? Well, Pinot Noir is really great with Thanksgiving because of its earthiness. And it has these lovely notes of sort of desiccated or crushed rose petals, of forest floor, of mushrooms. Sometimes you get these, gosh, really descriptors that don't sound that appealing to most people. But when you think about it and you smell it, it's like sweaty horse, or if you're from Massachusetts, they call it barnyard. Yeah, creative stuff. But you know what? What is a Thanksgiving meal? You have the sort of the stuffing. Sometimes you have these nutty side dishes and things like that. And so these are autumn flavors, autumn notes. And Pinot Noir and Gamay can have these autumn aromas and flavors. Pinot Noir in particular, if it's a very fine Pinot Noir and aged, you really get these sort of foresty, dried leaf type of aromas. It's really, really, really nice with the food. So I have to mention south of Burgundy to Beaujolais and Gamay as well. So by the way, Burgundy, red, 100% Pinot Noir. You're not going to find anything else in there. That's the law. South of Burgundy in the Beaujolais region, which it gets more mountainous. You have these really interesting areas of Beaujolais. There are 10 crus, which are different regions, sub-regions within Beaujolais. And this is the upper echelon of Beaujolais wine. I'll list a favorite and mention them next. But some of these cru Beaujolais, it's 100% Gamay grape. They're really delicious. And we're talking like really good Burgundy style wines, but for really a fraction of the cost. Because again, marketing. And Beaujolais has this reputation of being cheap because every fall, and it's now on shelves, is this Beaujolais Nouveau, which is the new wine of the year. And this is not attempting to be a very, pretentious wine. It's absolutely the opposite. Beaujolais Nouveau is young and fresh and simple and bright. And it's a celebration of, hey, here's the harvest. We quickly pressed this fruit. It goes through a unique fermentation process called carbonic maceration, where it's put in this pressurized tank and the fermentation actually occurs in each berry individually until it explodes. The flavor profile that comes from that can be described as sometimes like bubble gum, or, it's just very bright and fresh and fruity. It is a fruity, simple wine, and it is not complicated. And it's actually great for things like Thanksgiving because that's where you've got, again, this mixture of different food. You're having fun. You're celebrating. The nice thing about Beaujolais Nouveau, too, is it is seriously affordable. So if you've got to feed a lot of people and you need a wine to complement your meal broadly and make a lot of people happy, maybe you go with the Beaujolais. Let's look at the Pinot Noir. I didn't mention Pinot Noir from the States, but if you're going to buy Pinot Noir from the States, which is excellent, then I would go to Oregon. And so at Trader Joe's, they have this Columbia Valley Sunshine Mountain Vineyard Pinot Noir 2023 for $15, which is very nice value. I would also look for American Pinot Noir in Oregon at the Willamette Valley. The Willamette Valley, there are French producers who have moved in. One of my favorite producers in Beaune, in Burgundy, is Joseph Drouin, but the Drouin family has definitely grown a lot of Pinot in Oregon, so check that out. Moulin au Vent is one of my favorite cru Beaujolais. This one is $32 at Total Wine. Definitely check that out. Did I skip over Morgon? I did. Morgon right here is a cru Beaujolais. It is $27. These Morgon and Moulin au Vent are kind of at the upper end of the fuller body of the cru Beaujolais. So it's very different from something that you get in the regular Beaujolais Village, or especially the Beaujolais Nouveau, which is very, very light. These are more sort of substantial, complex wines. So definitely check that out. Finally, you do have the Beaujolais Nouveau here. This is from Duboeuf. It's very nice and very affordable, as you see, at $15. So again, if you're feeding a lot of people and you need a wine that you know is going to work, this could be very good. All right, and on to dessert. And for dessert, I am recommending a Santo. So traditional Santo comes from Tuscany. And there is also a wine from Greece called Santo from the island of Santorini. And I would list them both. And they share some similar traits. They are sort of sweet and nutty and spiced. The traditional Santo is great with pumpkin pie, pecan pie, apple desserts, and things like that. The production style, they take these bunches of grapes and they either lay them right out in the sun or they hang them, and the water evaporates from the grapes. So you're left with really the concentration of just the sugars and the meat inside. And so when you press that, it has a lot more sugar in it. It produces a slightly higher alcohol wine. It also takes a longer time to ferment. And these wines require time and a lot of hands, a lot of process. You're laying the grapes out, then you're crushing them. You don't get a lot of juice from these berries once you crush it. So for that, and then you put it in a barrel for 3 years, right? You put it in these caratelli for 25 liter to 150 liter barrels for 3 years. That's a lot of production cost. And so these wines are not cheap because they take time to make. You don't get a lot of juice. And so you'll see a higher price, but they are super delicious. So here's an example. Again, you see the price point. It's $60 for this Cantalici Vinsanto Baruffo 2012. I will note in the fine print there, this is 375 milliliter bottle, not a full 750. So this is a half bottle and it's expensive. But that, like I mentioned, the time and the aging and the process is so hands-on and intensive that's why these wines tend to be a little bit more expensive. So let's get to some questions. And I had one actually in the chat from one of you. If you could choose only 2 wines, I say here, if you could choose just one bottle that works, it's the dry rosé or the Pinot Noir. Yeah, these 2 wines are the 2 wines that I would choose. The other question I had was, my friends don't like sweet wines and we want an alternative. Is there something else that you can have instead of like the Vinsanto, the sweet wines? And my answer to that would be like a Madeira. Madeira is also interesting because Madeira was a super popular wine with George Washington and, you know, the original founders and whatnot. These people drank a lot of Madeira back in the late 1700s. So it's kind of a cool traditional wine to serve at Thanksgiving if you're going to do something like that. This is what George Washington drank, and George Washington wrote the first Thanksgiving Day proclamation as president. So it's kind of an interesting wine that you might want to serve. And also a dry Amontillado, sherry. Not everybody is into sherry. It's kind of an acquired taste, but some people really love sherry. And you should try a drier sherry with this instead of a sweet sherry. They have, you know, the PX and the super sweet sherries. But if you don't want sweet, try a drier sherry like an Amontillado. All right, how many bottles for the group? You know, this is going to vary. Some people obviously are not going to be drinking, so, you know, make sure you have plenty of non-alcoholic beverages for them. Obviously, when you are drinking your wine, drink your water too. But if you're going to try to program this out and budget for people, if it's just a lunch or a brunch, think about a half bottle. That's about 2.5 glasses per person. For dinner, 1 bottle works out to, if it's a restaurant pour, maybe 3.5 glasses per person. It's technically 5 150 milliliter pours. So that might be good for a several hour dinner. If you're there all day, a long Thanksgiving day, try to budget at least 1.5 bottles. Probably be drinking some other stuff along the way, but 1.5 bottles of wine per person should do it. Decanting Pinot Noir is a question I put up there. Generally, Pinot Noir, you do not decant. It's very sensitive to oxygen. So you see, even in fine dining restaurants, when you order a nice bottle of Pinot Noir, it comes in the bottle, in a carrier, and you're basically only adding oxygen while it's here resting, sitting in your glass. And this amount of oxygen coming through the top is usually enough. Because it's a very sensitive grape, Pinot Noir, if you over-oxygenate it, it will hit its peak and then decline rapidly. And you'll like oxygenate your wine if you put it in a decanter, if it's a very fine or aged or, you know, sensitive wine that's been resting for a long time. Now, if the wine is young and it's a good Pinot Noir from a good producer, we're talking 2 to 5 years. It's going to be super acidic, and you may want to tone that down a little bit. And one way to do that is to decant it. So put it in a decanter, let it rest for 20 minutes, and a young, fresh, bright, highly acidic Pinot Noir will kind of chill out, and it'll become very pleasant to drink. So that's really my only note on that one. Okay, and that about does it. Thank you guys again so much for following the channel, for booking custom adventures and doing all those nice things. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the support. I wish everybody a very happy holidays, a very special Thanksgiving. Hopefully you get to celebrate it with family. Click the link, you know, go get your cheat sheet and your guide, take it to the store with you this week, go do some good shopping, pick up some great wines, and feel free to share them with me when you have the time. Appreciate it, everybody. Eat well, drink better, always have fun. Take care.